So today we're taking a closer look at the true One Piece Goalie Skates. There are some pros and cons to these things, so let's check it out. What's going on? My name is Dustin Smith, better known as Bones, and welcome to BonesyTV. Like I said earlier, we're taking a closer look at the true One Piece Goalie Skates. I've worn One Piece Goalie Skates for a few years now, and as you can see, I currently have 2 pairs of them, which I'll be diving into shortly. Now, a big selling point for any true skate, whether it's the custom player skate, the 2-piece goalie skate, or the 1-piece goalie skate, is the custom fit. And when it comes to the comfort of these skates, the hype is absolutely real. My red skates were my first pair of these, and after going through the 3D scanning process and finally getting these in my hands, I was blown away by how comfortable they were right out of the box.
Jumping on the ice with these for the first time wasn't like any other skate I've worn before.
Prior to these, I had worn the traditional cowling skate, and then I had tried the more modern 2-piece skate with the tall holder and the 3mm steel.
But I absolutely love the neutral pitch these have to offer, the lower attack angle, and the more traditional 4mm steel.
But the biggest thing that blew me away was the feel in my skating. When they say zero energy loss, they really do mean zero energy loss. The one-piece construction gives you direct contact from your foot to the ice. And right away, I felt like I had more control of my pushes, and I had nice hard stops with precision. However, the feel was so intense at first that I had to go down in my sharpening. Prior to these, I was using a 7/16 hollow, and I had to go down to a 5/8 before finally building my way back up to the 1/2-inch hollow that I use now. So if you're getting a one-piece skate for the first time, I highly recommend trying some different hollows just to figure out what works best for you. Now, the durability has been a cause for concern for some people that I've talked to. And after wearing my red skates for a couple years, I was pretty disappointed when I started getting some lace bite and a little bit of ankle pain. So after playing around with different ways to lace my skates, adding different foams and really trying to deal with that lace bite, I ended up with these pecorine skates. At first, I was skeptical about getting a pair of skates that were molded to someone else's foot. But after trying them out a couple times, I felt that I was comfortable enough in them to start playing in them. But that's not to say I didn't have to get some work done on them to get them to that point. I was getting this terrible bite in my Achilles tendon and had to have the area punched out on both the skates. But after that, I was good to go. But again, after about a year of skating in these skates, I felt like I was getting that lace bite and again, getting that ankle pain. But one of the most underrated features of any true skates ended up saving my feet and ultimately made me a true believer in the longevity of these skates. I'm talking about the replaceable tongues. I mentioned my issues to the Preds equipment manager, and he ended up giving me these brand new tongues, and right away, all of my issues just magically disappeared. The lace bite was gone, the ankle pain disappeared, and I was comfortable in my skates again. Of course, looking back, I probably could have done the same thing with my old skates, but it is nice to have a second pair of skates at this point. The only thing is, I wish True would make the tongues more available. Last I checked, they don't exactly make it easy to just purchase a new set of tongues. But continuing on the subject of durability, you obviously don't get the luxury of swapping out your holder if you end up damaging your skates. These Rene skates were pretty beat up when I got them. And as you can see, there are some cracks here along the holder, and they're overall just pretty beat up. That being said, I haven't noticed any change in performance or feel with these cracks in the holder. I saw the same feeling of control and precision from the advertised zero energy loss. Moving on to the aesthetic of the skate, I personally think this is a very stylish and unique looking skate. There's really no other skate on the market that looks like a true one-piece goalie skate. With a few different custom options like the color accents, the toe cap color, and tongue customization, you can create a very personalized look. But that's not to say there aren't some issues when you take a closer look at the skates. One of the biggest complaints I see about the true One Piece skates is the messy construction of the carbon fiber holders. Between the glues and resins all over the place and the overall ununiform look, it's hard for people to pay so much money for a skate with these kinds of imperfections. Personally, I have no problems looking past these minor blemishes because of how well they perform. And since nobody else is building a skate like this, it's kind of hard to compare them to anything else. So yes, it is a little messy, but ultimately I haven't noticed any change in the performance or even the durability with some of these issues. So ultimately, the pros and cons of the true One Piece goalie skates. Starting with the cons, it's hard to completely ignore the messy construction of the carbon fiber holder. Like I said, this is something that I personally have no problems looking past. But for a lot of people out there, this alone is enough to turn them away from these skates. Another con is that if you end up breaking your holder, that skate is pretty much donezo. I have heard that True does help you out in the event of any serious damage, but I haven't dealt with that personally, so I wouldn't exactly take my word for that. Now, before we jump into the pros, I do want to touch on a couple things that aren't exactly pros, but they're also not exactly cons. The first one being the system used to swap out the steel. A lot of other skates in the market have a very simple solution to swapping out your steel.
The One Piece skates requires an 8mm socket to get the nut out of the back of the skate so you can get the steel out of the holder.
And of course, if you don't have that tool with you, you're not getting that thing out. So not necessarily a con, but definitely not a pro. I feel like this is something that can be improved on in the future. The other slight downside is when you're putting these on and taking them off. There is a trick to getting your foot in and out of here, and it does take a little while to get used to and figure out. But I have heard a lot of people complain about their true skates just murdering their feet when they're trying to get them in there. But finally, moving on to the pros of the true One Piece goalie skates. Jumping right out of the gate, the custom fit of the true skates is going to be a major selling point. You know you're going to get next level comfort when the boot is molded from a 3D scan of your own foot. Aside from the fit, another huge pro to these skates is the zero energy loss.
I really do feel like I have more control with the One Piece construction.
Like I said, it's unlike any other skate that I have worn before. Then of course, one of the most underrated features of any true skate is the removable tongues. A lot of time, these are the first things to break down, so being able to swap these out for new tongues is a huge feature to extend the life of your skates. And last but not least, the final pro, in my personal opinion, is the style of the skates. You know right away when a goalie is wearing the true One Piece just by looking at them. And if you pay attention to goalies in the NHL, you'll notice that a ton of them wear them as well. So there you have it. That is my review of the true One Piece goalie skate. If you're currently wearing these, let me know what you think of them in the comments below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And don't forget to subscribe. And as always, we'll see you around.